Today I would like to share a very fun and interesting build. But before I get into the details, let me tell you first that I started the campaign with an ice shard build and farmed it maybe with up to the mid 70s. Although it's a very strong build, I don't like the cycle of waiting for the cooldown of Frost Nova, then bursting the elites. Then I found this gravitational aspect. It's the one that makes the ball of lightning orbit around you instead of going forward in a straight line. So I started keeping an eye for the ball of lightning items such as pants, where it can roll up to plus 3, the amulets can roll the mastery skills for another plus 3. At first, I tried the build using my staff. Although the damage per hit is higher, I find it a little bit clunky when casting, so I had to search for a good wand and an offhand again. Fair warning to those who are trying this build, you want to try to make sure that you have most of the aspects and the gear before transitioning. I actually missed my burst damage of the ice shards when I first transitioned to this one, and I couldn't even do dungeons and I was doing the grim favors to farm for gear. Onto the build. I'll start with the defensive side. There's an aspect called the Crowded Sage, which is probably the best important aspect for the defensive side. This is our passive healing ability. If combined with a good damage reduction roll, high armor with your gear, you'll be able to sustain a lot of damage in the middle of the chaos as shown on the video. And speaking of armor, that's the next armor that's probably best for the build. It's called the Aspect of Disobedience, and on a perfect roll, it adds an extra 50% armor as long as you're dealing some sort of damage. There are only two defensive aspects I'm using. There's actually a third one which I couldn't slot anymore. That's the one which gives 25 damage reduction for the crowd controlled mobs. I wish I could slot this, but the chest armor is already filled with the unique armor raiment of the Infinite. It's that one which pulls the mobs in the middle of the casting teleport. As for the damage side of things, I have two slots only as well. The first one is the Aspect of Control, and the second is the Elementalist Aspect. The Aspect of Control might be the best all-around offensive aspect for the Sorceress right now, as the frozen, immobilized, and stun damage modifiers are calculated and added separately for each condition you are able to apply. I slotted the Elementalist aspect first. It's that one which gives you the crit chance when you have more than 100 mana on my amulet. But now that I have better gear with higher crit chance, I'm thinking of moving this to a different slot and put the armor aspect on the amulet or maybe the control aspect. Not sure right now, depending if I'm lacking on defense or damage. The build is such a mana hungry build. A single ball of lightning costs 50 mana. Needless to say, mana cost reduction is your best friend. You can get it on the offhand or the amulet, which goes a lot. This is where the unique of the raiment comes in play as well. Each teleport cast, which includes a stun, gives 10 mana back. That means if you are able to proc this to let's say 5 mobs, you get 50 mana back, and if you get 10, 100 mana back, so on and so forth. Also, the two rings are also provided are slotted for utility. The first one is the Umbral Aspect, which returns up to 4 mana every time you CC, and the other ring is the Aspect of Chain Lightning Ability Aspect, which returns up to 6 mana each time the lightning bounces off of you. This might not provide a lot of utility during the dungeon farm, but it's a godsend once you get to the boss fight. I'm actually working on the second ring as a swap right now. Maybe a mana on cost on cooldown, but I'm still searching for a good ring. I did try the mana with fire, but it doesn't seem to be working well. It just doesn't feel it's giving me back a good chunk of mana since it's a lucky hit proc with a very low proc coefficient. The passive skill, Invigorating Conduit, grants us 12 mana for each crackling energy that we pick up. We can produce a lot of crackling energy from two different ways. The first one is through the Ball of Lightning's passive itself, called the Wizard's Ball, which produces a crackling energy whenever we hit an enemy 4 times. The second method is through Chain Lightning's ability passive itself, which produces another crackling energy whenever Chain Lightning critically strikes. Thanks to our Elementalist aspect, we are able to produce a lot of crits, provided we can maintain our mana above 100. Notice that we don't have Chain Lightning in our skill slot. We did, however, added the Chain of Lightning on our enchantment. What it does is every time we burn 100 mana, we passively cast a Chain of Lightning, and trust me, this build burns a lot of mana. To further support the cycle, I imprinted my offhand with an aspect that has a 35% to chain 2 additional times. As far as the other enchantment slot is concerned, I was still using Firebolt enchantment combined with the Devouring passive during the time of recording. I'm still doing lots of tests on different enchantments right now. Still optimistic that there might be better alternatives, and currently looking at the Conjuration Tree and Paragon for some major damage boost. Either that or the new Eye Shards may be passive, which adds vulnerability. To sum it up, I don't think we'll be seeing this build being pushed to the upper 80 tiers, as the build requires an optimum balance between damage and mitigation in order to be successful. Once this build can no longer mitigate the damage, that would be the top ceiling. I was only originally hoping for clears 3 to 4 tiers above my level. I'm quite happy with the result, as I've done 10 to 13 levels above without any major fishing. I'll be posting link of the build below. I don't want to drag this into a 20-minute video, just pointing out the major aspects of the build. I know that stupid builds like this don't get people to like or subscribe, as people are more inclined to watch people pushing 80 plus dungeons. I, however, have this channel as a hobby, but I can get at least 1 like and 1 person to subscribe. It makes me really happy. Again, thanks everyone for watching, and good luck on your rolls. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.